Good afternoon and welcome everyone to Scheller Lunchtime Live, a live stream series hosted by the Georgia Tech Scheller College of Business. My name is Trent Thurman. I'm the Associate Dean for Executive Education here at the college. On select Fridays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, you'll have the chance to hear from Scheller faculty, student, and alumni speakers as they discuss relevant topics for the tech-driven digital age. At Scheller, we're proud to offer undergraduate, MBA, and PhD programs, along with open enrollment and custom executive education. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce Kofi Smith. Dr. Smith served as president and CEO of the Atlanta Airlines Terminal Company from 2010 to December 2020, leading the strategic direction and management of all building operations and facility maintenance responsibilities for the world's most traveled airport, Hartsfield-Jackson. He managed more than $945 million in operations and approximately $650 million in capital improvements during his tenure. During his time with AATC, he grew the employee base by 114%, creating more positions and employment opportunities for Atlanta residents. In 2021, Dr. Smith launched his own company, Keystone Management LLC, and currently has operations in 4 cities across 4 different states. Dr. Smith is a graduate of Leadership Georgia, Leadership Atlanta, and the Regional Leadership Institute. He serves as vice chair to the boards of Goodwill of North Georgia and the National Black Child Development Institute. He is also a trustee for Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Foundation and the Youth Service Fund Foundation for the Rotary Club of Atlanta. He is also on the advisory board to the president of the Georgia Institute of Technology. Dr. Smith is a double jacket, holding a Bachelor of Science degree in Industrial and Systems Engineering and an MBA in Global Business from Georgia Tech, and went on to earn a PhD in Business Administration from Georgia State University. Kofi's talk today is entitled Servant Leadership, From the Football Field to the Boardroom and Beyond. Please feel free to ask questions in the comments section, and Dr. Smith will address as many questions as possible at the end of his presentation. Please welcome Dr. Kofi Smith. Kofi?
Ken, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that introduction. Before I get into my speech, I just want to lay out the landscape of what I'm going to cover. And I'm just going to talk about 4 topics today. The first topic will be my story. I will share my story and then lead into my 3 pillars. After that, I will talk about Servant Leadership 101, and then U Inc. or ULLC. So let me start. And let me just say that every time I hear someone introduce me as Dr. Smith, every time someone reads my bio in full or in part, I close my eyes really, really quick and I thank God, because I can't believe they are talking about me. And then I ask God, please do not let me mess up. Please do not let me stumble. And if I do, please do not let them see it during this speech. So hopefully my prayer will be answered today. I am a firm believer in that there's brilliance and brevity. So I like to be brilliant, be short, and be gone. So I want to respect all of your time. So just lean in with me over the next 20 minutes as I get through this, and I pray and I hope that it will be value added for you. I've been very, very blessed to speak to billion-dollar companies, a Fortune 100 company. I've been in front of more than 1,500 people, and I've even opened up as a keynote for the 43rd President of the United States, George W. Bush. I tell you those things not to impress you, but to impress upon you how big of a deal this is for me. Every time I get the opportunity to speak at a Georgia Tech event or in front of a Georgia Tech audience, it means way more to me than any of those other talks or speeches that I've given. And you would ask yourself, why? And here's the reason why. When I was matriculating through tech during my undergraduate years, I had this vision of what I wanted to become. I wanted to become a successful businessman who could inspire, who could motivate, who could lead groups of people while making a difference in their lives. So I had a great vision when I was in undergrad, but the problem was I did not know how to achieve that vision. The bigger problem is what I did know. What I knew at that time is that I was struggling through Georgia Tech. Differential equations was having its way with me. Thermodynamics and fluids was saying, no, sir, we're not letting you out. And then my probability class in my ISYE school just literally punched me in my mouth. So I knew I was struggling through tech. I also knew that I did not have the personality of these successful leaders that I was either seeing on TV or watching and reading about. I also knew that I didn't have the talents and skills that they possess. I knew I couldn't speak well. I knew that my vocabulary needed work. I also knew that I was really shy. I had low self-esteem and I lacked self-confidence. After graduation, I knew that I did not make it to the NFL. I also knew that I graduated with a 2.7 GPA. So I have this desired destination that I want to reach, but I do not know how to get there. And worse is all the stuff that I did know that I just articulated to you. So how did I get here? How did I become the person in that bio that you just heard from Trent? How did I get to the place where CEOs and presidents on LinkedIn will say that I inspire them? How did I get to the place where men on LinkedIn that I do not know, strangers, will message me and say that they want their sons to grow up to be like me, which is crazy for me to think about. But it is what it is. How did I get here? How did I get here today to speak to all of you? I always tell people, I'm just a country boy from Alabama. There's nothing special about me. I am not the smartest individual. I'm not the most handsome. I'm not the most articulate. I'm not the most anything. Although sometimes I like to battle people for the best dress. But outside of that, there's nothing special about me. So how did I get here? And it's simple. It's very, very simple. I got to where I am today simply because I am very, very people centric. I put my people first. I always have. The people I lead come before me. They come before my shareholders. They come before my stakeholders. They come before my customers, my clients. My people that I lead, that God blesses under my leadership, to be under my leadership, they come first. And I got this whole mentality, this leadership ideology from my parents. I watched my mom and dad when I grew up, and they would do anything and everything to take care of other people to the best of their means. Also, I played football at Georgia Tech. I played football my entire life. And one of the things that you learn as an athlete of any sport that you play, is that it's always about the team. It's not about you. So you can have the best game ever in your career. And if the team loses, you have therefore lost. So it's never about you. It's always about the team, or in this case, when we talk about servant leadership, it's about others. It's not about you. So the three pillars that I have adopted over my years of leading immediately after I left Georgia Tech, the same things I did when I left Georgia Tech to where I am now as president and CEO running my own company, they all stand on three pillars. And before I tell you those three pillars, really quick, let me jump back. When I graduated from Georgia Tech in 1999, tore my quad trying to get into the NFL, I went and worked for Milliken and Company down in LaGrange, Georgia. So here's a long story, very, very short. I went to work for that company, and the plant manager, Steve Alford, said, do you want to be an IE sitting behind a desk running time studies, cost analysis, and such, or do you want a team? I said, give me a team. He said, great. I'm going to give you the worst team. I'm going to give you C shift. They have the worst process reliability, have the worst productivity. They are last in every KPI as it pertains to our plant. I said, great. He looked at me and said, good, because you're going to sink or you're going to swim. Great. Gave me this shift. Within 6 months, that team was breaking records, setting records, and everybody was chasing our process reliability, our quality, and our productivity. Fast forward through my career at Milliken, I received 4 promotions or 6 promotions. 4 of those were upward level moves within 4 years. When I left Milliken, I was blessed to receive Manager of the Year, and my team won Team of the Year. You fast forward, you get me to when I came back into corporate America in 2006, running a facility up at General Mills. The team and I won 2 awards back to back that had never been done. We had the most improved plant that we went after. We went after the most improved year 1, and we won the best. Then the next year, we went after the most improved over the best, which has never been done, and we won it. We also was recognized as one of the Customer Hall of Fame suppliers when we were there. I leave there, I go to Delta, I run all of their facilities. The team does a magnificent job. While I was at Delta, I was noticed by an individual who was sitting on the board of AATC. He saw all the work, all the transformation that we were doing at Delta, which we did in 6 months, and he wanted to interview me for the president and CEO role at AATC. I come over, I said, hey, actually the board said, we don't think he's ready to be president and CEO. Let's hire him as vice president. And within 6 months of me being vice president, they said, we're ready for you to step into the president and CEO role. I said, I'm not ready. Give me 3 more months to learn up under this gentleman who was there as the interim. So within 9 months, I went into the role of president and CEO for AATC. And then obviously you heard some of the things that Trent mentioned to you. We were one of the best companies to work for. We grew the company, all of that. The reason why I was telling you that is because from Milliken, 6 months, get a team, break records, set records, everybody's chasing us. Going to Delta, we were going to lose that account at Delta within 6 months. Delta's loving everything that we're doing. They extend our contract, go over to the airport within 9 months. I'm into that organization. And then we were able and blessed to do some amazing things there. How did all of that happen with this little country boy from Alabama with a 2.7 GPA from Georgia Tech as a football jock? 3 pillars, three pillars. So the first pillar, I never saw myself as a leader, but instead, I always saw myself as a servant to those I led from day one. So when I was at Milliken and I get this team of guys, I never saw myself as a leader. I never saw myself as a manager. I saw myself as needing to serve them. And one of the things I identified immediately when I got with this group is that they had individual skills, but they were in the wrong seat on the bus, right? So I moved them around and I got them in the right positions, the right seat, and that's how everybody started chasing us. It wasn't rocket science, right? But before I could move them into those seats, I had to do what? I had to capture their trust. I had to gain their trust before they would allow me to start moving them into these positions. How did I do that? I started bringing in donuts and orange juice during our shifts. That was it. It was simple, right? And if you follow me on LinkedIn, all the way through me being that little production manager, bringing in donuts, orange juice to the staff of 6 to becoming president and CEO of AATC, I was still coming in on 3rd shift, bringing donuts and orange juice as president and CEO to my 3rd shift team at AATC. Always saw myself as a servant, not a leader. Number 2, I've always cared about others, people's personal and professional missions and their desires more than my own. I always put everybody else's missions, everybody else's desires higher than my own. Number 3, I've always done my best to take care of people. My team, my shareholders, my stakeholders, my clients, when I was at the airport, the passengers, I've always done everything I can to take care, the best care of those people that God has placed in my orbit, right? So that spans that whole group of people that I just listed off to you. Now, how do you do that? How do you take care of those people? I don't know where I heard this from. It's probably Brene Brown because I read a lot of her books. And it's brilliant, right? People want 5 things. They want to be seen, heard, respected, safe, and protected. That's what all of you want. That's what I want. That's what your team members want. They want to be heard. They want to be seen. They want to be respected, safe, and protected. And when you see people and you hear people and they feel respected, that is inclusion at its best. Google has found that psychological safety is the key factor in their most effective and successful teams. Psychological safety is the key factor in their most effective and successful teams. So those three pillars that I just mentioned to you, I build those, I control those, you control those. And when you start turning the dial on those three pillars, what happens is that you start cranking these dials up, right? And then that which you control, God will then gift you that you can't control, which is other people's trust and loyalty. So as I found over all these years, as I build those pillars and I crank them up, right? I make sure people are heard. I make sure they're protected. I'm always doing my best to take care of people. I never see myself as a leader. I see myself as a servant. I'm always caring for people, their interests, their missions before mine. I put them first, me last. When I crank those things up, because I control it, you control it. But then God gives me all the time, every single time, that which I can't control, which is people's trust and their loyalty. And when people trust you, you can impact their lives even more and take them higher than they ever thought that they could go, because they trust you and they'll follow you. When they are loyal, they will follow you, not just within your company, but out the door. If they can't follow you, they will miss you and they will always stay connected to you. And that's true leadership legacy. So one of the things that we've always heard is that, hey, it's business, it's not personal. This is just business, it's not personal, right? And that's one of the dumbest things that we can ever say out of our mouth. It is always personal, because you're dealing with a person. So the way you treat people, the way you engage with people, it has been proven through science, it will dictate how well your company does based on you as leaders. The consciousness that you create is directly related to the consciousness by which the company operates. You control that. You control that. So many of our goals are to increase top line revenues, impacting the bottom line, penetrating markets to gain more market share, growing your nonprofit, decreasing your costs, etc. If all of those things become your first priority instead of taking care of your people, you will not achieve any of those, at least not at a sustainable rate or for a sustainable period. So one of the books, great book by Ken Blanchard and Renee Broadwell, Servant Leadership in Action. He talks about in his book, consciousness of a company operates. The consciousness of a company operates directly in correlation to the consciousness of its leaders. But here's what I love. What he mentions is that profit is the applause you get for creating. Profit is the applause you get for creating a motivating environment for your people so they can take care of your customers. They also note in that book where there's 4 defining characteristics of companies that have this conscious capital mentality. And those 4 characteristics are, number 1, they are about the purpose that these leaders lead is not for profit maximization, but it's for the purpose of taking care of their people. They place value, or they look to increase value, not only in their shareholders, but their stockholders. These leaders, number 3, are not motivated by personal enrichment or power, but instead by the service of their people. And number 4, they lead and create an environment of trust, openness, caring, instead of an environment of stress and fear. So when we think about servant leadership and we jump back to Mr. Robert K. Greenleaf, he was a retired executive from AT&T, and back in 1970, he is the one who coined servant leadership. And this is how he defined it. Servant leadership, someone who is servant first. They naturally want to serve. then conscious choice brings them to lead. So someone who is a servant first, they naturally want to serve, but then there's a conscious choice that then brings them into a position of leadership. For all of you who are out there striving to be servant leaders, here's one test for us all. Here's a test. If you're really being a servant leader, do the people being served grow as persons, as individuals? So the people that you're serving, are they growing as people and individuals? Do they become healthier, happier, wiser, more autonomous? How likely is it that they too will become servants? How likely is it that they too will become servants? If you are truly being a servant leader and you're doing it right, then they're going to be highly likely to follow suit and follow your lead and become servants themselves. And I like this, Ken Blanchard says, what is the effect on the least privileged in the society or your organization? Are they benefiting or at least not being further deprived because of your servant leadership? He also lists 10 characteristics. I won't go through all 10, but 6 of them really illuminated with me. And when I think about my career, it's always, all 6 of these have always been a part of me. 1 is listening intently. 2, having empathy. 3, healing. And the way he describes healing is that you want to be able to make people whole that you come in contact with, right? People are looking and searching for wholeness. 4, awareness, being aware, completely self-aware, number 1, right? Emotional intelligence, but then also being fully engaged and aware of what that person or people are dealing with. Stewardship, holding something in trust for someone else, focusing on others. Stewardship, meaning being a good steward over the lives that God has placed under your leadership, holding that with trust and focusing on them. And then focus on the growth of others. Now, that being said, and I am about to end, because I mentioned to you that that's kind of the servant leadership 101, but I want to leave you with something. So when you think about the Department of Labor, they put out a statistic that 46% of people leave a company or leave a job because they feel unappreciated. So us as leaders, what we should always be striving to do is find a way to acknowledge, celebrate, and appreciate all those that are up under our leadership. Outside of all the other stuff that I just listed, celebration and appreciation of your people. We all know that it takes one critical comment takes 9 positive affirming comments to counteract that one negative effect that we receive from that one critical comment. 9 to overcome one critical negative comment. So we should all, as leaders, always be searching. You can't overdo it. You cannot overdo appreciation and celebration of your people. It's also been shown, by the way, that the celebration of your people is linked directly to their productivity and how they pursue your objectives. You Inc., you LLC. I always love to share this, and I will close out with this. Each and every last one of you are a company. So Trent is Trent LLC or he's Trent Inc. We all know the most important thing that we all been taught this in grad school. What's the most important thing of any company? Increase shareholder value. So if you're a company, that's what you should always be thinking about. How do you increase shareholder value? Who are your shareholders? Every single person that comes in contact with you. You need to figure out, how do you increase their value? Because when you do that, Kofi Inc. stock will go up, right? All ships rise with the same tide. So if I'm creating tidal waves to bring everybody else's ship up, and that is my focus, then my ship will naturally rise. And as a company, Kofi Inc., my objective, number 1 objective, is to increase my shareholders' value. And therefore my stock goes up. What does that look like? I'm gonna give you a perfect example. We had our company, Trent talked about, we're in 4 different states, 4 different cities. 2 weeks ago, I have a client, and within one client, you have many clients, right? You have many stakeholders. So big client, main stakeholder down here was sending emails of how disappointed he was and how one of our managers were performing. This had been going on. We took care of it. I go up there, and I just came back yesterday from Boston, but I was up there for 2 weeks with my director of operations, just 2 weeks. 2 weeks before, this gentleman was sending emails of how disappointed he was and how the account was going. Obviously, that devastated me. So we addressed it. We went up there for 2 weeks. Last night, I got a phone call from the same individual. I'm not lying. Last night, I got a phone call. He said, "You guys have done such an amazing job. Meeting you, being around, Miss Keisha, and how you guys are working. I got to tell you, I made some cold calls on your behalf. I made cold calls on your behalf because I want to help grow your business. So I've called other partners of ours, and I want them to allow you to have an opportunity to bid on business that they have." That's a 2 week swing, right? How does that happen? When we go up there, we recognize he is a shareholder, right? I need to increase his value every day for 2 weeks. That's what I was focused on. Not for this outcome for him to call and make cold calls and get us in a position where we can get additional business. No, 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 right? This is just what we do. But I'm sharing with you, if you do it, if you focus on that you're a company to increase other shareholder value, and all of the people that you lead, they are your shareholders, increase their value, your ship will rise. With that, Trent, thank you so much. I will hand it back over to you for questions.
Thank you so much, Kofi. Very inspiring. And I'll echo one of the comments. I want to buy stock in Kofi Inc.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
You
I'm trying my best not to let that stock crash.
I hear you. So we probably have time for one question, and there's a really good one in the comments section. It's how can a traditional leader, someone who's been more top-down, hierarchical, transform into being a servant leader when their habits are sort of embedded in their current style?
Now, it is a great question. The beautiful thing about servant leadership is that it can be taught, right? And it's literally conscious decisions. So all of us, right? When we were children, we thought as children. Now we're adults, we have to think as adults, right? And what that effectively means is that once you become a leader, no different than when you become a parent, your needs fall subordinate to the needs of your children and to the needs of others, right? Their needs take precedent. So it's literally every day a conscious decision to think about others as opposed to thinking about yourself first. So if you're outward focused, right, as opposed to inner focused, now everything that you do, all your acts, because you'll see a lot of people do things that look like it benefits other people, but it's being done with an inner focused mind, and it's really about uplifting them. Focus every day on making conscious decisions to think about others. Just start there first. Start there first. And once you start seeing how it's reciprocated back to you and start seeing the impacts, it will soon become natural. It will take some time, right? Because you have to deprogram yourself and reboot your system. But that's where you need to start. Just literally start thinking about others first. What do I need to do for them? What's right for them? What would benefit them? How can I motivate them? How can I uplift them? That's where it starts.
Excellent. Outstanding advice. Thank you, Kofi. I wish we had time for more questions, but we're up against the 12:30 window here. But I know I echo for everyone in the audience. Thank you so much. Very inspiring, and really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much, Trent.
Our pleasure. So our next Scheller Lunchtime Live is scheduled for Friday, April 8th. The topic is the effectiveness of innovation crowdsourcing, featuring Scheller College of Business professor Dr. Florin Niculescu, who will discuss approaches to innovation crowdsourcing and the role digital platforms play in the crowdsourcing process. You can register for this event and learn more about future Scheller Lunchtime Live sessions by following the Georgia Tech Scheller College of Business on LinkedIn. A recording of today's sessions, as well as all future sessions, will be available on our LinkedIn and YouTube pages as well. Thank you all for joining us. Have a great day and weekend. Take care, everybody.